Hey, welcome to part 5 of Advanced Psychoproctology for Beginners. I'll start with responses that might save some commenters time. First, thank you for commenting on my videos. Obviously, attention to the ideas I play with is one way I keep my mojo working. You know, like a kid who gets off on other kids being interested in his playthings. It motivates me to put out more videos. And there are a few comments I can respond to in bulk, and in the process, fill out my approach to psychoproctology. Some folks say I'm talking gibberish. They could be right, and don't take my word for it that I'm not. Still, I note that anyone can declare that whatever they don't understand is gibberish, so I don't take their word for it either. It's what you could call fake objectivity or artificial infallibility, which I'll be talking more about today because it helps explain how Trump and jerks in general win. We've become a consumerist society, not just buying lots, but enjoying shopping therapy, which I know from personal experience is a form of what I'll call off-jerking, indulging our subconscious appetite to act like jerks. Karens like Tucker Carlson, for example, who demand to talk to the manager because the world doesn't meet their highfalutin standards. I can relate to this like I can relate to anything I'm talking about. When I shop for fetish items, in my case, musical equipment, I get the self-affirming release of feeling like a snobby king. It's funny in me because while I'm a tone freak, I'm also half deaf. I use hearing aids, but still I'm a snob. So commerce offers me products. I dismiss the inferior ones as beneath my fake objective standard. Trumpists do a lot of that. I get that too in the comments. They don't bother to explain my inferiority. They simply decree it. For example, decreeing that I'm talking gibberish. With off-jerking, you pretend you see the world objectively, like you're God himself. For example, you say that the media is biased simply because you disagree with it. You pretend you have no biases at all, that you're the objective gold standard measure of merit. It can be downright embarrassing to admit you don't understand something, but you wouldn't notice. You're proud. Anything you don't understand is officially and objectively gibberish. I also hear from people venting about how much they hate the Trump cult, which I totally understand. They often diagnose it with popular insults or clinical terms or terms they've coined. I do more than my fair share of venting and name-calling. Still, here I'm trying to name-call with surgical precision, which I don't find in the vulgar or even clinical terms. To name-call with precision, I have to try to set my hate aside and try to really understand what's up with assholes in general. I've landed on the term hero bot, not because it slays assholes, but because it nails what I think is going on with them. Hero bots robotically play hero, which is easy to do when you identify as a monarch through fake objectivity. Trumpists are a good contrast here. They're nonstop venters and name-callers. They don't care about precision at all. They just pull out their butts whatever insults are popular in their circle jerk and fling them at folks like monkeys fling poop at zoo visitors. You've probably seen the video of the pro-Trump author who wrote a whole book about wokeness. When asked to define it, she's speechless. All she knows is that woke is hella bad, and anyone who she doesn't like is woke. That's why I don't wince at the shit they toss at us. It's robotic, artificial infallibility, like mad make-believe monarchs flinging poop like monkeys. But it's not just them, it's a human thing. I've come to assume we liberals have also gotten distracted by our own self-flattering scorn like that. Our moral standards distract from careful diagnosis. For example, we say crime and by association narcissism, hypocrisy, and bullying don't pay. That's wishful thinking. If crime doesn't pay, why is there so much of it? Because it pays extremely well when you can get away with it. I advocate a no asshole policy, but that means I have to be very neutral and careful in my analysis of what's up with them, or else I'm saying a butthead is just whoever I butt heads with. So while I find venting our scorn therapeutic, I don't want it to bias my analysis. Again, for me, science is to get what you want, set aside what you want long enough to see what is. I'm fine with people getting titillated by me waxing eloquently about shitheads. Maybe some people watch my stuff just for the venting, though there are far better and more popular channels for doing that. I'm doing something else here. I want my analysis to inform my advocacy. I do not want my advocacy to distort my analysis. How am I doing about keeping my moral biases out of my analysis? All I can say is I'm trying, and don't take my word on it. Don't even take my word on it that I'm trying. Lots of people say they're trying to do this or that when they're not, and nothing human is foreign to me. You don't have to take my word on anything, but if you're still watching, here's a video I posted after the election on the challenge of keeping our venting from tainting our strategic analysis. I also get a lot of comments declaring that nothing stops hero bots or assholes or Trumpists, or that what I'm suggesting won't work. That's a fair point. It's why I keep experimenting, looking for something that does. See, to me, a hero bot's sole goal is ensuring that nothing works. The freedom that hero bots demand is freedom from ever having to learn anything ever again. That's the original meaning of absolute, as in absolutist. Freedom from influence. The only thing an absolutist is still eager to learn is how to better protect themselves from ever having to learn anything. Some commenters offer what they're confident works, though I'm hearing less of that now that Trump has won. Typically, I hear two proposals: be respectful and/or walk away. I agree that those are two strategies that sometimes work. I use them both a lot. Still, I believe we're missing the more inconvenient option. Give them a ration of surgically precise shit that they deserve. Impose harsh consequences and weather their withering herobotic responses. I'm encouraging you to cultivate what I call repercussioning, cushioning yourself against the inevitable repercussions. Our proud moral standards have weakened us that way too. We've backed down or gotten defensive in response to Trumpist accusations. Remember, hero bots aren't thinking about what they're saying. It's artificial infallibility. They don't understand their accusations any more than AI understands the character strings it generates. But hero bots are out to suck your moral blood. They want you to think they're thinking. They want to tangle you up in moral defensiveness and ultimately to get you to cave and walk away so that they can feel like mighty superheroes. I figure there are only two ways to influence anyone: carrots and sticks, benefits and costs. I think we liberals got soft in the brief, comfy, cozy post-war era. Trump won by never caving. We lost caving a lot. We've given peace and caving a chance, and so far it isn't working. Here's my video on the three basic moves I see in any conflict: accommodate, assert, and walk away, all of which have their place. Looking back, me and my kind were proud of our belief that the way to stop conflict was to never engage in it. Like the popular 1970s bumper sticker said, suppose they gave a war and nobody came. Well, Trumpists came and we were unprepared. We didn't bother to learn how to fight. Look where it got us. Trumpists are emboldened and armed, and we're still trying to talk nice or escape. I've got to pick my battles. Try to stop fascism or try to avoid conflict. I choose to try to stop fascism. Never fight with a pig. You'll just get dirty and the pig likes it. Apparently, you can't say never. Sometimes you have to fight with a pig, even though you'd rather not get dirty. Perhaps it's too late to fight these pigs very effectively, but I'm playing a long game here. I'm trying to take as careful notes as I can on what we could have done differently, regardless of whether it ever gets implemented. Who knows, it might come in handy as soon as today in your local dealings with hero bots. Okay, that fake objectivity which my moral sensibilities deplore, rather than reveling in my proud shunning of it, I'll focus here on why fake objectivity would be a deliciously enticing way to live if one can get away with it. I'll ground it in what is variably called the unconscious, subconscious, or ulterior motives. Whatever doesn't rise to consciousness but still influences what we say and do. We all have lots of unconscious habits. Like my UC Berkeley neuroscientist colleague argues, consciousness isn't a computer, but it generates computer-like habits, all the stuff we do without thinking about it. Driving, for example. I make a gazillion decisions every day out of habit without them rising to consciousness. Human life is exceptionally complicated. I see us as habit craving. All organisms are habit accumulating through evolution's trial and error process. Animals can learn, they're habit seeking. Humans are habit jonesing. What rises to conscious attention are our tough judgment calls, ambiguities, ambivalences, doubts, anxieties. Anxiety is like a variable intensity smoke alarm that motivates consciousness to attend to something that has yet to be resolved down to habit. Sure, there are false alarms where you worry about what turns out to be nothing. There are also alarms that don't go off, something worth attending to that you end up ignoring. We resolve our doubts into habits as fast as we can to make room for further doubts. We kind of wish we were robots. I call it Robo-envy, wishing we were just reprogrammable robots. Like when self-help authors tell you should be different, so just reprogram your hardwiring, update your software. With us humans living in our ever greater clusterfuck of a world, our smoke alarm goes off a lot. Here I'm suggesting that our habit craving is a fundamental subconscious appetite that motivates fake objectivity. Because I'm overwhelmed, I'd crave feeling like a king, master of the universe, decreeing with my fake objective authority. I'm suggesting that this fundamental universal human appetite is the elephant in the room wherever we go. We crave what I call endorphment, the endorphin rush of being endorsed. It's a subconscious feeling thing. Yeah, we have language, but comfort in our own skin is still our most immediate priority. Endorphment is a painkiller. Endorphin is your body's natural painkiller, a similar molecule to morphine or heroin. And remember, heroin was so named because it makes you feel like a hero. We each get our endorphment rushes differently. It typically involves feeling exceptional, not just as good as, but better than. We're all, therefore, a little sadomasochistic. We've got two ways to self-affirm, lifting ourselves up and putting others down. Often one person's buzz is another person's buzzkill. If this is making you uncomfortable, like I'm talking gibberish or like speak for yourself, Sherman, good. I am speaking for myself, and I'm trying to do it in a way that demonstrates some okayness with being human and having this extra shit to deal with. I'm after a different kind of Me Too movement. Me too, you and me both, you and me and everyone human. I'm inviting you to laugh at me with me, and in the process to maybe get better at laughing at yourself with others, which I think is crucial for our asshole restraint movement. Our appetite for self-affirmation is in tension with our appetite to not appear arrogant. We have our subtle habits for harvesting affirmation, ways of getting off on ourselves without looking like egomaniacs. Here, try this. I'm a dad. When my kids were young, they discovered how much fun it was to get affirmation for being cute. And then they'd overdo it, milking their cuteness. It would embarrass me. My embarrassment was like the Cat in the Hat's line, "It's fun to have fun, but you've got to know how." Or like the parental cliche, "Careful or someone will get hurt." It was like, "Hey, little dude, be discreet. You don't want to look too full of yourself." Try a loose analogy from biology. Some male frogs croak out their mating calls. The longer they croak, the hardier they are, and therefore the more attractive they are to females. But the longer they croak, the more likelier they are to get located and eaten by predators. They want to croak enough to get the mates, but not get eaten. It's a loose analogy because they don't have human-level anxiety. Still, something similar happens for us, boys and girls, and not just in mating. You want to shine, but if you shine too much, you'll be picked off by the competition. The asshole prevention question I'm inviting you to wonder about with me is how to both exercise and regulate this fundamental human subconscious craving for affirmation. It's an old question, not that we've asked it as directly as I am here. How to exercise and manage this temptation for human bitches to get too big for their britches. Thanks for watching.